creating future industry leaders by taking a road trip to some of the state's largest manufacturing facilities.
23 News reporter Jake Pearson talks to members of Makers on the Move, an Illinois organization designed to educate about job opportunities in the manufacturing industry.
Celebrating Manufacturing Month during October, the Illinois Manufacturers Association packs industry advocates onto a bus, traveling across the state and making a pit stop in Rockford Wednesday morning.
We contribute the single largest share of Illinois' economy. 14% of our state's economy comes from all doing manufacturing.
From April to July of 2023, the manufacturing industry contributed nearly $3 trillion to the U.S. economy.
We always talk about the talent and skills because people are what makes the difference. People create success.
Growing the next generation of manufacturers, the Makers on the Move tour unites industry educators, prospects, and advocates through a bus trip across Illinois.
2,000 miles, 8 days, more than 24 stops, including at PCI today in Rockford, to showcase great manufacturing companies and career opportunities that are available today.
PCI Pharma Services is a contract development and manufacturing organization, which built its largest of 30 facilities in Rockford.
Currently in the Rockford area, we are in over 1.2 million square feet of space and are in the process right now down the street of building another 500,000 square foot facility.
After breaking ground on the expansion earlier this year, 250 jobs are expected to be added in the next 2 years. PCI General Manager Mike Ellingson says many of the tourists Wednesday could be future employees.
From a manufacturing standpoint, it's much different than it was 5, 10, 20, 30 years ago. It's really important that we get to advertise that and show people what we do here every day.
According to the U.S. Census, manufacturing is ranked as the 5th largest employer with almost 12 million employees, contributing to more than 50% of all U.S. exports.
Thank you, Jake. And the Illinois Manufacturing Excellence Center also joined the bus tour. In 2021, they helped 1,600 companies, leaving a more than $450 million impact on the state economy.